Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and more Monster Hunter Wilds talk. Today we're looking back at the history of the Blossomdance seasonal event, which is the new event for spring that just hit Wilds. But how does this actually compare to the versions of the Blossomdance event of the past back in World and Iceborne? Is this as good or better? And what will this comparison tell us about the future of seasonal events for Wilds? Because there absolutely is a pattern and familiar themes and aspects of these events. I fully expect 5 major events like this for the different seasons and the new year because of that history. And some of the stuff from these events was close to or challenging meta, and some of the coolest visual stuff that we got in the games, if not just silly and fun. So let's take a look and make that comparison. Looking back at World, we had a unique event for spring. But back then, it was called the Spring Blossom Fest. The main aspect or area of this was the Gathering Hub, which in the first hub, Astera, was essentially this massive ship above the hub. It was a pretty cool environment for multiplayer, but it's where the majority of players would be able to hang out and show each other their sets and stuff. So this very small hub was overhauled with the Spring Blossom theme. The pink petals, the bright lights, hilariously, a giant glowing poogie, and a kind of ongoing fireworks display. And this kicked off the whole seasonal concept and events for Monster Hunter in general. It wasn't just the hub getting a makeover though. All the NPCs involved, the quest givers, they had a very familiar set, the Blossom set. That's what they were wearing. But you know, compared to Wilds right now, this is definitely pretty tame. We have a grand hub with a long line through the center, hidden areas, quite a vertical nature to it. It's grander and it's bigger. A literal stage and a show with a diva. All the NPCs have their different outfits. Some unique that we can't even get. Alma with her own unique outfit, a new song for the diva, multiple new sets and cosmetics. It's quite a lot. So in regards to the hub new look, it's definitely a lot less in the original. But there were some familiar concepts. Like for example, the handler getting different outfits, such as the busy bee dress that the original handler had in World. So very comparable to Alma and her new outfit. Just Alma looks a lot better. Poogie did get a funny little outfit though, a little bee to match. So I guess that's something. Now back in World, the bounty system changed for this event. A set of daily bounties with special rewards, providing you with the Blossom fireworks and the tickets used to craft the gear, as well as armor spheres, which you know is just like our current Wilds version of the event. We have daily resetting bounties, which give us the tickets used to actually craft the set. But it goes a bit further than one set and one ticket. There are multiple kinds for the Blossom set, the classic one, or the new one that actually gives us bonuses to carving and actually for the duration of the event, increased offensive damage as well as defense. So Wilds is doing the same concepts, but simply providing double or triple the amount for each aspect. For the duration of the original version, there was also a special Spring Blossom platter. Yes, a meal. It had slightly different visuals and was a decent buff at the time. That is obviously super comparable to our current canteen in the Grand Hub, and this 5th option for the event, which has its unique animation, totally different food, but significantly more to the buff itself. These feasts provide us with more offensive defensive stats, last longer, and in this case, can potentially help you gather and carve for more materials. So, original concept, greatly improved. What's interesting though about the original World version of the gear, the Blossom set, the Butterfly set for the Palico, these things were something that you would craft and have to actually directly use. It wasn't until Iceborne that layered armor was really a universal system. At best during World, you might have events like these that would give you a very limited supply of layered gear. So if this set wasn't good at the time, you just wouldn't ever really see it. Obviously that's super different in Wilds now, with us having layered armor from the start. As soon as you craft any of this, now you can create cool visuals and mix and match it how you want. We had the masculine and feminine versions of the Blossom set, but if you were a male character, you could only wear the male pieces, right? Now we've removed the gender lock, we can mix and match and create something a lot more interesting, providing a lot more variety from those two sets. Now to engage with this event beyond just the initial unlocks, it was well worth it for the armor sphere farming the grind to get the fully upgraded gear. That was a big reward for actually engaging with this event, and that comes back again to Wilds where we're seeing the exact same thing. Certain event quests, like the Zuwu one, have the highest level armor spheres, giving you a guaranteed way to get those, or rather a really reliable way, in prep for harder stuff to come, like the title updates or say Arch-Tempered Radar very soon. Another big aspect of the event at the time was the way that it brought back event quests that currently had been released and then have gone since the launch of the game. So a couple collab events happened, but there were also cool community events where we had the rocket powered greatsword that was designed by a community member that won that contest, so got it in the game. These things came back during the duration of this 2-week seasonal event, letting you, if you missed it, have a chance to unlock it again. Same thing here in Wilds, we're getting all of the event quests that have actually been in the game so far, which is not a massive list. We haven't had our first collab event for the first time yet, but there are a couple cosmetics and a couple useful events like letting you farm specific cooking ingredients, or say the return of the Guardian Rathalos hunt, which is incredible for killing a bunch of super weak tempered monsters for incredible material resources as well. So all of this is to say that it was a much more humbler version of the same event. Now in Wilds, we have bigger, better, more options, double or triple the unlocks and things available, but it's hitting the same notes. A new armor set, fun visuals, a changed hub, and a fun way to celebrate the change of the season. Now it's just all a bit grander. But in Iceborne, things changed. It was a lot grander of an event in that expansion. That's because we got a completely new base village or hub, Celiana, and in that it had its own new gathering hall, which was significantly bigger and more interesting than the Stera's original version on that ship. A massive room and proper space connecting kind of everything you need there. And that, when done up in this kind of Blossom Fest idea, stood out a lot more and they made a bigger deal out of it. By comparison, it wasn't the Spring Blossom Fest though, it was the Full Bloom Fest. Like I said, it was a lot grander. Those familiar pink themes and flowers and petals everywhere, a lot of life blooming in the animals as well as the flowers, and much more expressive outfits for, say, the quest handlers. And as in the name, the whole full bloom concept, everyone's wearing like roses and kind of like a fancier feel to it. This introduced a new armor set for more visuals, the rose armor set, which yes, matches that fancier theme, with apparently an eye patch that's literally a rose. And this was a lot more interesting and engaging at the time because yes, layered armor was actually there. The skills on the gear were also a lot more, well, relevant or actually usable, considered more like off-meta picks, which isn't a bad thing for, you know, an event like this. But for the layered system, it was a little bit different. You had the actual one that you craft and use, and then the layered version that required different tickets, but it was the same kind of rose or blossom ticket system to gather. This returned the butterfly set though, in a master rank version, and also introduced the rose set for your palico as well. Kind of reminding me a little bit of the Lalabarina stuff actually. This was also around the time that you started to get weapon pendants, so there was a full like rose bouquet that you could put on the end of your weapon at this time. And obviously they lean really hard into the pendant system now in Wilds, like we have them on our weapons, we have them on our seikret, and we're unlocking them from all kinds of things. Participation, but also the specific rewards. Pendants have become kind of a staple now. Now, just like before, this one did introduce some event quests that provide some funny visual options, like a hat, or say these jewel blades that were literally just 2 fish. Ridiculous, but kind of awesome. And a familiar feel here with the crane hat, which is basically just a bird sat on your head. We now have a giant one of these sat in our current Grand Hub, which is interesting to think about. I guess they stuck around. But yeah, this also returned all of the different event quests that had happened at the time. So all of the cool layered outfits and special items like that were back for people to get access to if they missed it while it was available. On top of all of the useful event quests that came in, like ones that were just there to help you boost up your hunter or master rank. Great for the people that have joined a bit late or a little bit lower. Event quests that help you farm materials if you actually need to build up any equipment or put it into a different system, like what we have with the reinforced system for your artian weapons, or say generating your upgrade armor spheres. But finally, a really important caveat of this Full Bloom event was the fact that the minigame of the hub, the Steamworks, rewarding these really valuable alchemy tickets, which could be traded at the Melder for a ton of decorations. This actually became an incredible source of farming decorations because, man, back in World and Iceborne, decorations, especially the perfect ones that you needed, were incredibly hard to get your hands on. So for the first time, that's where we could say Wilds doesn't do as well or as big of a thing. It doesn't give us a system that really helps you find out the decorations that you might be after. Overall then, with that comparison, we can see that the current Wilds event is heavily inspired by what's come before. They've learned from key features. They've seen how people really appreciated bringing back previous event quests that they missed, introducing new fun stuff, themed armor sets of which we've got multiple, which are even more valuable because we have the whole gender lock thing being removed, and layered armor from the beginning. Really, it's just what happened in the past, but done better with the better options and better technology that we have today. It does feel quite spoiled though when I look back at the original Spring Blossom Fest and how small and simple that hub change was. But what can we expect from the future of seasonal events? Well, quite a lot actually. In the past, in base world, there were 5, right? Spring Blossom, but then Summer Twilight, Autumn Harvest, Winter Starfest, and the Appreciation Fest for New Year's. In Iceborne, it was the same thing but with different names. Full Bloom, Sizzling Spice, Fun Fright, Holiday Joy, and Grand Appreciation Fest. Basically, the same thing with a slightly different naming. And the theme there was kind of like a basic version of the seasonal world, and then a much grander, bigger, more invested thing in Iceborne. Some of the coolest layered outfits though came during those Iceborne versions. Ridiculously flashy outfits, really silly palico stuff, but the one that stands out the most to me from what Josh was talking to me about was the Holiday Joy. This had that event quest, a chilling entrance that had the very familiar floaty red scarf, which we know is actually coming back in Wilds in basically the same way. Though that event quest still isn't here, which is interesting since they teased it for Title Update 1. I wonder why it's not here in Spring Blossom right now. Another thing was the ridiculous mining pickaxe that was a longsword, or the ridiculous event quest Muscle Monkey Madness that gave basically one of the most popular layered outfits that exists in the history of Monster Hunter, the buff body, where you're basically running around in swimwear with like a super muscle body, where you're literally just wearing like a muscle suit. Very stupid, very fun. You saw a lot of people wearing it. And also an intense event quest because you had to deal with 2 Rajang at the same time. I can't also mention the Grand Appreciation event without mentioning the Guild Palace weapon line that was absolutely insane. All 14 weapons got this incredible like Gold Palace gilded weapon theme, and they were some of the coolest in the game. So I'd love to see those come back. The point is, these different seasonal events would introduce different event quests that would unlock a lot of the coolest visual armor pieces or silliest that people just really love. So we can expect more of that in Wilds, and so seasonal events like this are definitely going to happen again. But bigger and better based on what we've seen between this comparison of World and Iceborne to now Wilds in the spring event. I would expect previous armor sets from those seasons to come back, and then we'll get a new one at the same time. And even better, with the whole gender lock being gone, you can mix and match how you want. I did think that this spring event would introduce at least one or a couple layered weapon options as the first for the game, but yeah, nothing at the moment. Maybe in the next one, although hopefully by then we just have layered weapons. But overall, I would expect once again a summer event to come in Title Update 2. A Halloween one to come later, maybe Title Update 3. A winter themed one, of course, around the time of Christmas and such. And of course, a pretty short after that, Appreciation Fest, which is the one for New Year's. And all of it will be themed around the Grand Hub, and in general, be bigger and better than things we've seen in the past, giving us those nice fun nods to what came before, with new additions in Wilds. So, I'm pretty excited for the seasonal events based on what we've seen. What would you like to see come back? And why is it the buff body suits? For now then, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.